All right, here we go. So first of all, we want to thank everybody for their patience in moving this seminar to Thursday. On Tuesday, there was a few, because of that big storm we had in the city, Azad had some flight problems. So we had to move it till today. Thank you guys for your patience in moving over and viewing it today. We appreciate that. Tonight's seminar, how to cash in on Calgary's townhouse boom. We're going to talk quite a bit about this because it's a very, very important sector of the rental market. How to cash in on Calgary's booming townhouse market. We decided to do this seminar because what we found is that certain property types are just getting too high priced in this city to cash flow. So we had to search the whole market for properties that the average person can buy and still cash flow and still become a really good landlord with the property that is available right now in the market.
Yeah, and not only that, it could be a good stepping stone for young people, Tim, that are looking to get into the market. There's a number of reasons why townhouses are attractive to first-time home buyers. We will get into that tonight, but townhouses, they've gone up significantly this year, and we feel they're going to continue. We're going to go through that in depth, and they can be a really, really good source of cash flow. You get great appreciation as we're seeing now, and they're easy to maintain as well, Tim, which we're going to get into.
Okay, how to cash in a Calgary's townhouse boom. We've been dealing with townhouses for years and years and years. A lot of people of our clients buy them to move into them. We'll go over some of the attributes why landlords like them and some of the attributes that tenants like about them. But we wanted to do this seminar because the numbers are starting to look very, very positive for landlords out there who own townhouses. And even people who are just getting into the market now and buying their first rental property. It's a very affordable product to get into. Mm-hmm. And some of our more experienced investors are wanting to get into them because there's less maintenance.
Yeah, and you know what? There's all sorts of townhouses. We've kind of been the townhouse gurus lately, buying townhouses for our clients, and we want to go through the different sorts of townhouses today. And we've got some examples that you can see and then actually see the numbers for yourself, which is very, very exciting. And if anyone has any questions in the chat, or any questions, just put it in the chat, and we'd be more than happy to answer locations or styles of townhouses. If you're curious about something.
Okay, first of all, the townhouse market in Calgary is 17% of the total market. So 17% of the sales in the market are townhouses. So it's not a huge segment of the market, but it's big enough that there is demand among tenants to live in townhouses. They're generally less expensive than detached and semi-detached homes, the half duplexes. But they're a little bit more expensive than the average condo out there. But what comes with that is the condo fees are less than in a conventional condo, like a high rise or 6-story walk up. One thing that we see why the condo fees are a little bit lower is because there's not many things like elevators or common space or things that eat up a lot of the condo fee. When you're in a traditional condo.
So just one thing about why Calgary townhomes are booming. Tim, we're just talking about semi-detached homes and detached homes, let alone they're just too expensive.
Yes.
So the average right now for a semi-detached, which would be the next level up from a townhouse, you would say, is roughly, Tim, we can't find them under 550 for a good
decent one.
Decent one. So 550, and that might be with the garage if you're lucky, and normally not with the garage. And that's up. Well, the average Tim's showing that must be with new one. Yeah, Tim's got an average of 687,000, and that might include some of the newer ones.
It is the new.
But at the same time, we're looking in Bowness lately for a semi-detached, and we can't get one for under 600,000. So that's Bowness. So you go into Capitol Hill or Altadore or Mount Pleasant or any of these blue chip communities where there are nice semi-detached properties near, something like a hospital or a university. Yes, you're paying upwards of 687, Tim. So townhouses have become really, really attractive, and we're excited because there's a lot of different townhouses on the market. And when you look at the townhouse market, they're in demand for rentals. As we were saying, there's over 3,000 condo apartments for rent right now in Calgary, where there's only a little over or a little under 700 townhouses in the whole of Calgary for rent. So they are in demand. Renters like them, and landlords like them as well.
Yeah, so we'll go over that right now. Some of the qualities that are attractive, that make townhouses attractive to landlords, is a lower price. That's the number one thing than a detached home or an attached home. Lower condo fees, which we went over. Less maintenance. So with townhouses, generally the exterior of the buildings are covered by your condo fees. So if the window, something happens to the windows or the siding or the roof, that is covered with the condo fees. So each individual unit owner doesn't have to go and fix the siding. Like there was hail damage like we had in Northeast Calgary just the other day. Less amenities, like I said, no elevators, gyms, pools, things like that. And for the landlord, it's ground level access. So a lot of our landlords, they don't do a physical inspection on the inside of their rentals every single month. A lot of that's just a drive-by, and that's natural. If you have a rental property in a certain neighborhood that might be, 10 miles away from where you live, wherever you're driving around doing something in that section, in that part of the city, it's sort of natural for you to just swing by your rental and have a look. And with a townhouse, you can drive by and have a look around and make sure that they're taking care of the little yard, or there's not a bunch of garbage on the front step. With an apartment, sometimes it can be way high up in a building, and you can, if you see the pad or the balcony with binoculars, but it's really hard to do a visual inspection unless you go inside.
Yeah, and Tim, we were just talking about the types of townhouses. I know right now what's appealing is some of these older townhouses are on large pieces of land. Like there's a lot of common area where we know right now, Tim, when they go to build these things, they're not building them anywhere. Like
they're building them like this one in the background of this slide, where that you got a little bit of a grass in the front, and maybe you have a little backyard or a deck in the back. But the older ones that we're seeing success with is they're a very large plot of land, but it's not like there's a lot on that land. It's green space. So it keeps the complex a little bit separated from the rest of the community. And, the tenants like it. They can walk their dogs on it. They can use it for whatever they're using it for. But they're not building townhouse complexes on that large plot of land anymore.
Yeah. And one last point here with the insurance costs, we want to stress this because a lot of people look at the condo fees and they're like, oh, condo fees can be a little higher. But when you have, say, a semi-detached or a detached home, your insurance costs can be anywhere from, say, these days, $1,600 to $2,000 on average, okay? But on a townhouse, they're more like $400. So you're basically saving at least $100 a month on insurance that you can deduct from your condo fee if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
So we want to stress that would be a cost that you would have if you had a detached or semi-detached home, whereas a condo, it's in those condo.
Yeah, and the exterior of the building, anything covered by that condo fee, the condo board has insurance to cover that. So the parking lot, the structure that holds the garbage, anything like that, that's covered by your condo insurance. So that's part of your condo fee, which keeps your unit insurance quite a bit lower.
Yeah.
And because the condo board is insuring, the large structure, they get volume discounts from some of the insurance companies. So if you were to put it back on the owner, it would probably be more than when it's spread out over all of the owners. Okay, townhouse qualities that are attractive to tenants. What we've found in canvassing our landlords who own these as rental properties is the tenants like them because there's generally more space, more living space than a condo unit. Yeah, you can get smaller townhouse buildings, but it sort of has the illusion of being a house, right? Because there's generally more than one story. And what we've seen is, with some of them with the garage on the ground level, like these ones in the background here, the garage, we can talk about the parking in a bit, but the space inside gives you the illusion of more living space than if you're on one level in a condo.
Yeah, and we found that tenants really want that little green space. So they normally do have a pet, it might be a dog or whatever, but they want their little green space, and where a condo can't give them that. Yeah. So you know what? At the end of the day, Tim was just talking about parking, and we want you to keep an eye on this, because this is a full driveway here where they can actually park a car on their driveway. We've seen townhouses where the developer will run out of room, and some townhouses will get half of a driveway or not even a driveway. We've seen. And so having that driveway, it does add value to your townhouse, especially to tenants, because they will either, in the warmer months here in Calgary, they'll either just park the car on the driveway, or they may have two cars, and one can be on the driveway and one can be in the garage. So do keep that in mind. Other things to discuss with garages. There's a lot of townhouses out there that have the tandem garage. So that's a double car garage, but it's a single car garage with one after the other. And you know what? A tenant will like that because it can create more storage. We've seen tenants actually set up a gym. We've seen them have it as a workshop. We've seen people put band practice in their tandem garages. So tenants will use that space. And if a tandem garage did come with that townhouse, it would be more appealing to get it rented later on. And if it did have the full driveway as well, take that into consideration.
Yeah, and a couple other things is no shared hallways. So if you're in a condo building, you got to go in the main entrance and up and down the hallways. There's doors to every single unit. With the townhouse, you have ground level access. They might have a front door and a back door, so you're not really bumping into your neighbors that much. It feels more like living in a house than it does in a condo, even though it is technically a condominium. We've found that ground level access really works for tenants with pets. You can just walk in and out, and the little backyard, like Azad said, is ideal for pets. And for people who are new to us and they go, well, why would you rent to people with pets? Well, in a market like we have right now, our landlords are getting extra rent for people with pets. I mean, you're not charging the pet rent, but you're charging a fee on top of their rent so that they can have pets. And tons and tons of tenants have pets. And if you can provide them with accommodation and they can provide you with cleanliness, then it works out as a win-win for both the landlord and the tenant.
Yeah. One other thing to keep in mind is where the setup is with the front door, Tim.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've seen some great townhouses that side onto a street. So tenants can either park their car in front of their townhouse, they don't have to park in the back. Or, if they're going shopping, they can have easy access in and out of the townhouse onto the street. So keep that in mind too when you're looking at location within a complex. Yeah.
So what we're going to get into is we're going to talk about 3 different types of townhouses that we generally see in our market right now. The newer type, new or near new townhouses, they're pretty much cookie cutter now. You'll see them in all the new outlying neighborhoods, whether it's Sage Hill or Evanston or Walden or Seton, anything that's way out, you can see these townhouse complexes that generally look the same. They offer the same kind of parking and common areas all around the city. They're sort of built to increase density quite a bit. So some of these complexes, you really have to pick and choose where in the complex you're going to buy, because you might be in the middle of a great big row of townhouses, and sometimes that's not really appealing. We're also going to talk about the traditional type townhouse that you see around town, a little bit older. So they're probably 20, 30, 40 years old, very attractive to tenants. They're upkept. Like any kind of condominium that you're going to buy, you have to make sure that when you buy it, you have a condominium document review done so that you make sure the condo corporation is in good financial shape. A lot of these older ones, if we go in there and we have a condo document done with our offer, and then a red flag comes up in that document review, we'll just back out of the deal.
Yeah, and just speaking to that, if townhouse complex, we've sold townhouses, like smaller complexes, say 12, 14 townhouses. Some of them are self-managed. If they're self-managed, sometimes CMHC does not insure those townhouses. Tim went after a property not long ago in Braeside, was it Braeside?
Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge. And that townhouse complex, they actually went past their reserve fund in maintenance costs. And so because they were below the threshold of reserve fund, CMHC would not insure that. So what that means is a purchaser or an investor, whoever's getting it, has to put 20% down. Okay. It doesn't mean that it's a bad complex. It just means that nobody can put 5% down on that property. 20% would be the minimum. And sometimes, Tim, those properties even become good investments down the road. Once again, though, you have to make sure that the property is well managed, even though it might be self-managed. Okay, so if anyone has any questions on that, just put it in the chat. But some complexes are not CMHC approved.
Yeah. And with these three analysis, we're going to go in depth with all the numbers and all that on the three types of townhouses. There are, of course, many other types that are out there. Some of the inner city townhouse builders, they'll plop a complex in Sun Alta or in the Beltline, and it's really funky. We've been in some really funky condos downtown here, or townhouses downtown here, but they're usually a one-off that some small builder went and did. You'll run across all different floor plans, really crazy things. But as long as that the location is appealing to tenants and the floor plan is appealing to tenants, we'll take a run at anything if the numbers work.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, what is better, Tim, now that we're talking about layouts and stuff like that, floor plans, we love if the townhouse had a basement. Okay, like the basement is extra living area for those tenants. It will generate more rent. Should it be 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms? You know what, Tim? It doesn't really matter. The bedrooms just have to be of good size. We love if it had 2 full bathrooms. That will generate more rent. But if it doesn't, it appeals to a tenant. You're normally getting that property cheaper than, you know what, if it did have 2 full bathrooms. What we love about the 2 full bathrooms, or what we're seeing, is that the builders are building them with 2 master bedrooms with en-suites. We like that because we know co-living, or people or friends or family are living together, they're easy to rent out and people will pay more rent for those properties.
Yeah, and as far as the tenants that you're going to attract to these townhouses, we see all types. One thing you want to look out for is large families, because it's small space. There might be a tiny yard, not a big yard. So you don't really want a large family in there. But we've seen, like Azad said, co-roommates living in there. Single people love townhouses because, they don't have a big yard to look after. Generally, the condo board will do the yard work. So if it is a little yard, the landscaper will come in there and cut the grass if there's any grass in there. Couples, people downsizing, divorcees, every kind of tenant that you can imagine live in townhouses, and they like living there because there's less maintenance than a house. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward, but we're going to start showing our analysis right now. The first one we're going to look at is a newer type townhouse. You're going to see these, like I said, in all the new areas of town. This is a townhouse. All these are right on the market right now, so you can see them on the MLS system. This one's in Belmont. It's one of the newer areas down south of 22X, south, right near Spruce Meadows, south of Silverado. So it's really far down there. But what we're seeing is there's tons and tons and tons of new builds going in there. And some people want to live down there because it's quick access to Stoney. You're not far from the new hospital down there. And there's all kinds of amenities like the shopping in Shaughnessy. Really, it is an attractive place to live. So we'll go over some of these numbers. The list price on the MLS right now is $519. We figure it'll sell right below that, $515. So your deposit at 20% down will be $103,000. The mortgage amount is $412. Now, looking at the mortgage rates right now that you can get, and it's too bad Danielle wasn't here because bond rates are going down quite a bit right now. We might see those mortgage rates creep down a little bit more, so you can get a 5-year term. We're hoping to see them in the low 4s, like 4.39, 4.29, maybe, if the bond rates keep going down. But anyways, at the current rate of 4.59, you're looking at a 2301 mortgage payment, taxes $92, insurance $50, maintenance. I didn't put any maintenance in there because this unit is brand new. It'll be covered under new home warranty for the first year and any major things for the first 10 years. Condo fees are set at 200. They will definitely go up. The builders always put their condo fees at around 250, but they tend to creep up over time. That's not an issue if you buy it new because rental rates will also creep up over time to cover that. So your total expenses are $2,751. Renting something like this, because it is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath condo, which is set at $2,600. Now, because the purchase price is so high, you're at $515, you're going to be in a negative cash flow position, $151 a month on this. But if you look at the other two rates of return, the mortgage pay down is $756 a month. Yeah, and annually, that's $9,000 that your tenant is putting in your bank account every single month.
Yeah.
So, and appreciation, we put this at 3.5%. That's what I work out my calculations for on everything going forward. Azad didn't want me to do that.
No, I wanted Tim to use the 14% or 14.6%, what it was last month. So we know the year's at 17.5%. But even if you go off 10%, okay, you're still looking at a $50,000 growth rate. So yeah, we run our numbers conservative. You guys can run it at whatever you want to, but we feel that, and we'll get into this, the reasons why a little bit, but we feel a 10% increase going into 2025. We're not out to lunch saying that. In our numbers, we're going to put 3.5. Why do we put 3.5? That's 75-year average in Calgary of our growth rate. Tim, the last, say, 10 years, even with a little dip in there, our average right now is probably with the last year at 10%.
Yeah.
So 10% isn't out to lunch going in for not just next year, but the next 3 years. Definitely, Tim, going in the next 3 years, 10% growth on these townhouses. So yes, you're not making the money on the cash flow on this one, but there are ways around that. You could furnish the property, which will bring in probably, Tim, another $600, $3,200 for a furnished property. If I was going to do that, it wouldn't be in Belmont. It would be closer to Seaton, where the hospital is, because you're going to get people that are coming here for contracts to work at the Seaton Hospital. Or, Tim, it could be anywhere on the east side if they're working, or closer to downtown. So there are ways around bumping that number up. We know that room rentals right now, it's going for $1,000 per room. This is a 3-bedroom townhouse. I don't think this one has a basement, but
no, it's got a tandem in the whole.
It's got a tandem all the way at the bottom. Yeah. So 3 bedrooms at $1,000 each, brand new place. Once again, if it was closer to a university or a college, $3,000 per month would take you into the positive. And in this market, you have to get creative. You either do what Tim says and wait for interest rates to drop for the numbers to work, which we feel prices will increase then anyway. So it's a bit of a catch-22. But and then once again, with Tim's numbers here, you're at a 25% return. If you were to bump up that average appreciation, even if you just doubled that, that would increase it to roughly 30% return anyway. So it's up to you where you want to be. We wouldn't, if someone was starting off, what's funny, if someone was starting off investing, we would not go buy this condo for them. We always believe that it has to be in the positive. We would look at different options. But if someone came to us, like many of our investors that own 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses, and they had a good cash flow from other properties, we would have no hesitation saying, hey, take a run at this townhouse. Yes, you'll lose $150 a month, which your portfolio will cover, no problem, because this property is going to go up $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, 3 to 5 years down the road.
Yeah, and Jesse's got a good comment in the chat there. You could bump your amortization up to 30 years. That would lower your monthly mortgage amount.
Yeah,
you can do that with the rental properties if you're putting 20% down. So that's another idea. Another idea is, like I said earlier, you can have pets, allow pets, sorry. If someone had a small dog, you can charge them, $100 extra a month on their rent, so that'll cover any damage the dog does, but it's bumping up your cash flow as well. So once you get creative and you learn to manipulate your rent to, meet your expense level, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
whatever it takes. We've been saying that lately because Tim and I, when we started investing in real estate, we were in a similar market. The market was heated, and we did whatever we could just to get into the market. We weren't even buying properties like this. We were buying, I could tell you, I owned a few dumps out there, and we were just saying if people just take our advice, I mean, we're not buying dumps for anyone right now,
No.
but we definitely did, and we did make some mistakes along the way, but we could tell you by just taking action and holding on to the real estate, you ride through this magic thing that's happening right now with property prices being like townhouses being 17.5% growth for the year. That's an easy $50,000-$60,000 for the year, right?
Yeah, and we've got a number of clients that have done very well. We've got a couple that bought a place in Abbeydale, a suite of property a year ago.
Yeah.
And they want to take the money out of that they invested in that and invest it in something else. So they came to us and they said, well, what's the value of the house and what can we get out of it? They've made $100,000 in 1 year on that suite of property. So just by getting in the market, they made that $100,000. If they didn't, if they hummed and hawed and sat on the sidelines and decided not to do it, they would have found it very hard to make $100,000 in a year on their initial investment. And if they didn't get into the market, and you got to remember that it's leveraged money. You're only putting $103,000 down on this to make 25% in 1 year. That's with my very, very conservative numbers. And I want to be
50%.
I want to put it through to everybody that I always go on the conservative side when I do my analysis. But even in these very, very conservative numbers, it's a 25% return on your investment in 1 year. So that's a great return. Try and get that in your RSPs. The reason you can do it is because you're leveraging your money. You're putting $100,000 down on a $500,000 asset. So you're getting that leveraged appreciation, which is what we love in real estate.
Yeah. And Tim, there is a question in there.
Sorry. Is it okay to invest in a rental property without making any profit from it?
Okay, no, well, you have to get the appreciation, that's for sure. So you have to buy in, and this is why we're doing this seminar, you have to buy in the sector of the market that is making the most money.
Yeah.
And then it really comes down to your finances of what price range, where you can invest. I think you're asking, is it okay to cash flow? No, we always want you to cash flow. We are going to give you a cash flow option. But as I was just saying, if your portfolio can handle one property that's negative in it, or you're earning enough income, and some people like the tax write-off, Tim. Some people buy into negative properties to get the tax write-off. They're not worried about the cash flow at all. They're just more concerned about the appreciation. We would rather, if you're starting off though, 100%, that the property, if you've read our book, Fearless Real Estate, that you cash flow from day one. This wouldn't be an option for new investors. This would be for an option for someone that has some money, doesn't mind if it's not making them a lot, but wants a good investment. This is a new property. As we were saying though, as you can see, there is no room outside of this townhouse. It's built right next to another building. There is no greenery. There is no space for the kids to run around. And I'm going to tell you that I know this for sure, is that families will be renting townhouses. There will be families living in these complexes. We heard of a property, a one-bedroom apartment being rented in Lakeview, a one-bedroom apartment being rented by a family of 5. Okay, so this is where it's heading for renters down the road. This is what they're going to be living in if they have a young family. So we want to stress this. And when you have a young family, you want that green space. You want a little park nearby. You want some, maybe a library down the street or a swimming pool. I don't know, something, right? So you want it to be appealing. I know 1 year we bought so many properties, so many townhouses in Chestermere for one reason. And this would have been 3 or 4 years ago. We bought it because it's a lifestyle community. We went out there and we're like, this is awesome. We were buying in Stonemere, I think it's called, Tim.
Westmere.
Westmere. And people people could walk to their shopping. They could walk to go to a coffee shop or go to dinner. They could walk to the lake. So you want these amenities around it. And Belmont, I would have to go down and see what's near this complex to make me really.
Like I said at the beginning, we're going to analyze, three different kinds of townhouses. And we're giving you realistic numbers. So if you were to go out, we've had people make the request, I want a brand new townhouse. I want to make it a rental. And this is an example of what the numbers would be. So like as I said, it doesn't work for everybody. It definitely wouldn't work for the first-time investor. We do analyze some in the chat here. I wish you could analyze the deal for new investors. But the last one that we analyzed is perfect for new investors.
We're going.
So
analyzing three
to get there, we just want to show you a range of different types of townhouses, what money they can make, and what type of investor it works for. So it's just an example. We're not saying we're going to push someone into this. I just wanted to analyze something that was new, fresh off the shelf. This is what you're going to get. And speaking of that,
so in other words, Tim, if you are a new investor, don't go and buy brand new, because this is what you're going to get. And not only that, the developers right now, they're building in 2025 prices. So buying pre-construction, we don't believe in it right now. We just don't. The developers know there's no inventory, there's no new inventory, so they know they can charge whatever they want for it. We would rather you buy something like the next property and the next property after that.
So what this thing looks like on the inside, see, it's very contemporary. So you would get, someone who wants this type of interior. You can see these in just about every new townhouse development. The pendant lighting, the white walls, the stainless appliances. What's really weird is that cabinetry is the same as the floor. Anyways, this is what the newer townhouses are going to look like. Wide open living area with the deck off the back, another funky light in the middle there. And this is what the back looks like. So this door, let me just see if I can do this. This door right here where my cursor's on, that's out the back of the garage. So what we've seen people do is section that garage off, because it is a tandem garage, and turn that into some sort of office space. Because you can get to the upstairs from the garage. They'll turn that into some office space and they'll have a single garage. Other people will just leave it as a double and can walk out in the backyard. And you also get this deck up here off your kitchen, which is very nice if you have some sort of view or something like that. But that's what the newer type townhouses look like. And that's what you're going to get into if you buy one new. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the traditional type townhomes that you see in neighborhoods that are 20, 30, 40 years old. This one happens to be in Taradale. We actually sold one by a client, Brent, in Martindale, and it looked exactly the same. So you can see there's a parking spot right out front. Some of these places, most of these places come with 2 spots for each unit. There's a little front porch, and this one has, again, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, some updates throughout it. A basement, and it's it's over 1,100 square feet, so it's very, very big. A lot of the newer units aren't that big. They're 1,000 to 1,100 square feet for the 2 bedrooms. If you're getting into, now they do make them big 1,600 square foot townhouses with a double garage, but you're up at $650,000 for that thing.
With the double car. And you know what? Once again, if you can get a corner unit, it is more appealing than an inside unit. You just get those extra windows, you get the extra light. It does make a difference for sure, if that is possible. But this kind of unit, you know what? The Northeast has been really, really exciting this year, Tim. We weren't investing in there for a long period of time, and now we're going back in there just because we know it is affordable, right? And people moving from Toronto or Vancouver, they're open. They might even have family out in the Northeast and they want to live out there. And you're going to see these areas turn around, and you'll see the city go in, start spending money on infrastructure, making it more beautiful in some of these areas. Some of them already are. What we love is the C train runs through there, so it makes sense for renters. You have big employment sources like the airport is out there. You have the hospital, Cross Iron Mills. There's a lot of infrastructure out there. And the funny thing about the Northeast is you can hop on the C train from Whitehorn and be downtown less than 20 minutes, which is really amazing. But a townhouse like this, You know what? There are so many people moving here. Tim ran the numbers not long ago from other countries that are more than happy to find a place like this to call home and rent it from you. Here are the numbers on this one. It is a lower purchase price at 389,900. As we said, the townhouse market, yes, it's going up like crazy, but we're not getting into competing offers. So we don't feel, that you'll overpay in this market for a townhouse. This one estimated at 385 purchase price, $77,000 down payment, mortgage amount 308. And the numbers are your mortgage is 1,651, taxes 158, insurance $50, maintenance at $75, vacancy $100 1 month every 2 years, and then condo fees at $350. So the going rents that we know for a 2 or 3 bedroom townhouse, it doesn't matter if it has a garage or not, is at $2,400. So everyone has to understand that's the going rate for a townhouse right now. A 2-bedroom condo downtown, the going rate for a 2-bedroom condo is roughly $2,200. So you either live in a condo downtown and hear all of the noise. We just heard the police go by. Normally we have fire trucks go by.
It's early yet.
It's early yet, but anyway, you can either be in a condo and hear people above you, below you, or you could be in a townhouse for a couple of $100 more if you're looking at it as a renter. Monthly cash flow, yes, not a lot, $16 a month, better than being in the negative. And you have to remember, rents do go up over time and your mortgage does come down. So the mortgage is getting paid down $380 per month. And then the appreciation on this one each month is just over $1,000. So that's a $1,500 return on that property, producing just under $20,000, $19,000 at 24%. So once again, you know what? Not a lot of cash flow. You're getting the growth. We feel you have to remember our growth rate is set at 3.5. Even if you were to double that or triple that, or use today's rate at 14%, you'll blow that 24%.
Yeah, not a lot of cash flow, but like we've said many, many times, there's tons of ways to improve your cash flow. One thing we didn't mention is you can put more money down. So if you want to have more cash flow, just to have that extra bit of cushion, this one, it's 77,000 down. That's 20% of 385. Just put more money down. You'll see the cash flow go up. And I put the 30-year AM on this property just so that there's a difference. So for those guys in the chat, yeah, you can move that rate 25 to 30 years up or down. Your cash flow will move a little bit. With this type of townhouse, generally they come with a backyard, so they are very amenable to people who have pets. Even if you don't have the backyard and you just have a balcony, you can allow a person with 1 cat and you can charge that same amount on top of the rent. As a landlord, you have to make sure that you're checking up on that. The pet's not wrecking anything in the house or, not making it smell or anything like that. But using those strategies to increase your rent, you can have more than the $16 cash flow. And again, that 3.5% appreciation rate, which Azad doesn't like right now, make it 10% and you're at almost $40,000 more, or not 40, but $30,000 more than what I've got there.
Yeah.
So lots of ways to jig your cash flow. We just wanted to show that this type of townhome, which is, just over 20 years old, is very, very viable as a rental property. Did we have something else in the chat here?
Yeah. Just trying to read through this one here.
Yeah, it's summing up what we've said. More cash flow, extended mortgage term, more money down. Any other ways to be creative about this for an investor who can find cash flow equally important?
Well, if you're starting off, cash flow is important because you want to get to your next property. So you know what? We would look at this still. It'd be good. It's better than renting. Like, people are renting 2-bedroom condos themselves that don't own anything. So even if a first-time buyer is getting into the market, instead of throwing out $2,200 a month, now you're spending $24,000. You could get a roommate on this one, you get $1,000.
Yeah, you could rent rooms. There's 3 bedrooms. You can rent 3 bedrooms for $1,000 a piece. That puts your rent right at $3,000.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you just got to get creative. And if there's a will, there's a way. You know, even with renting out a room, if you're a first-time home buyer, you're still saving money. You're at $1,200, and then you're getting $380 paid down on your mortgage each month. So you're way in front, which will help you get into your next property. And with the market going the way it's going, you'll be able to refinance this property at a later date, use that equity to go buy your next property. So one little tip about this property though, if I was to buy in Taradale, Martindale, Whitehorn, anywhere like that in an established community, I would be looking for a school that's nearby a townhouse complex, because 100% you're going to get a young family that moves in. If the kids go to that school, guess what? They're tenants for 5 to 7 years going forward. So that is a huge tip on a place like this. The one we saw in Martindale, Tim, the school was right behind it, you know, and we watched the school kids come over on their lunch break and have lunch at home and then go back to school. I mean, families love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the complex in Martindale, it didn't really have many amenities. It had a little playground structure in the middle in the park area. But one thing that was unique about that is it had a gate at the front. You had to punch a code in to let the gate up. We don't really see that often in Calgary unless it's an estate neighborhood, like the Slopes or something like that. But
I liked it.
yeah, it was interesting. So on the inside of this building, this unit, so you can see it's had some updates over time. Very basic kitchen and floor.
It looks good there.
Carpet inside, very clean, very attractive to tenants. The 3 bedrooms are up and it's got the unfinished basement down. You can finish that for more space. You can see the little window. It's got an egress window down there, and they got a little deck out back. So it's attractive to tenants. You can see the complex is really, really well looked after. It is in the Northeast, so I think it's a little further south than the Hale that got the newer communities up there, Carrington and Redstone and the airport.
I could tell everyone the reason why we had to postpone the seminar till tonight. I was supposed to fly out from the lake Tuesday morning to come back for the seminar, but the aircraft coming from Calgary got damaged by hail. And my Escalade, which is I've got 3 kids and I call the Escalade my 4th baby, got trashed. So it's actually, there's a flatbed heading to my house right now to pick up my car, and I think it's gone for good. So that's why we had to postpone it. But no, this is a beautiful townhouse. We would say yes to this all day. It's a corner unit. We would look at the location around it, and the numbers would work, and the numbers would get better over time. We want to stress that interest rates will go down, rents will go up, the numbers will work.
Yeah, and your mortgage will get paid down. So when it comes up for renewal after a 3-year or 5-year term, your payment will go down a little bit because you paid that mortgage down somewhat over the term of the mortgage that you've had. Over time, we found that cash flow always goes up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it always has.
Yeah. So moving on to the last one we're gonna analyze here. This is a quite a bit older townhome. It's unique, but you see these all over town. Built in the 70s. What's good about this place is there's over 1,000 square feet of living space in it, but when it's on the MLS, you can only advertise it as having 500 or 525, whatever the main floor is, because it's more of a bi-level, and the lower level, you can't count that as real estate agents. We can't count that as main floor living space, but when you rent it out, you put it on your rental ad, you advertise it as the full 1,000 or 1,025 square feet, which allows the tenants to realize, oh yeah, there is space in there.
Yeah, so these are hidden gem investments. We just had Cassie who bought one. Her one was in Willow Park, across the road from South Centre Mall. We've seen them all over. They're in Ranchlands. We've seen one the other day.
Haysboro, Southwood. They're
everywhere. And the best thing about them, they're very, very affordable, and they rent for the same price. Any of those townhouses except the Belmont one. They would rent for $2,400. Now, yes, you may have to do some painting, which we're going to show you in the slides what it looks like inside. But as Tim is saying, on the MLS, they only show 500 square feet because they're only counting the upstairs, because the bedrooms are downstairs, okay? We were in one not long ago, and we found that near the furnace room, there was enough room to put in another bathroom. So now it could have been a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit which would have even got more rent, Tim. And we actually went on, we're like, geez, we think we can get a bathroom in here. We actually went on their list to look at all the old listings, and sure enough, we found listings that people were adding bathrooms to. Some of these come with, sorry, Tim, some of these come with little courtyards where they have their own backyard, or this one has a deck. But once again, you find these in great locations. They're near shopping centers, they're near schools, they're near facilities where, you know, you may have, what I was saying, parks, swimming pools, rec centers, all that fun stuff.
Because they're in established neighborhoods.
Yeah, and you have to remember they're on massive pieces of land, so there's lots of green space. They're appealing. Your neighbors normally, Tim, they build them in sets of 4, right? They're in blocks of 4, so you don't have a whole row like you see in the newer ones where you may have 16 townhouses where it's a concrete jungle because they have a massive driveway going in, and then it's all the garages, and then, you know, these things, they're actually built a little bit away from the parking, you know, so it's a little bit quieter. And for us, it's a hidden gem for anyone wanting to be a first-time homeowner, first-time investor. They could either move into it and then rent it out later on. And as we said, they will rent for $2,400, the same price as what other townhouses will rent for.
And speaking of rent, if you go on Rent Faster and look in Willow Park, there's one of these units. Now, because these things were built in the 70s, a lot of them are in very, very unique locations. That location in Willow Park, a lot of the units are backing onto the Willow Park golf course. And someone has a unit in there. It's very similar to this one. It's updated a little bit more, but it's on Rent Faster for $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get $3,000 a month for one of these units, you're hitting a home run all day long. Some people can, if it's updated enough and it's in the prime location, someone will pay, some tenant will pay that.
Yeah, and what I love about the purchase price point here, you can afford, we have a program called Mortgage Plus Improvements where you can go in and do renovations added to your purchase price, so you don't have to have the funds to do it. But you can afford now to spend $10,000 updating it. You might put some new appliances, you might paint the cabinets.
Put a bathroom in.
You might put a bathroom in. You might do some upgrades, put new carpet in. I'm not sure. But whatever it takes to make it appealing, we'll show you some pictures inside once we go through these numbers, and I can tell you what we would do to it. So just reading these numbers, $295 for the purchase price, estimated $290, $58,000 deposit, which is a great starting point for someone who is you know, wanting to get their next property and cash is tight.
Well, let's stop right there. If you were to do our move up program, and we can explain that in just a second here, you could put 5% down. And 5% down on this unit is $14,000.
Yeah, and the numbers still work.
Yeah, so that's very, very affordable for new homeowners. And if you want to go through that move up program real quick here.
So the move up program is when you move into a property, you could put 5% down, and the whole aim of this is conserving on your cash. And then you either, you know, you live in it for a period of time, and then you move out, and then that property becomes a rental property. That's the whole purpose. We do this on semi-detached homes. We do it on detached homes where our clients will move in. They'll renovate the basement, put a suite, make it legal. We just did one in Marlborough, and then they'll move out, and then it becomes a rental property. So it's all about just making sure that the numbers work from day one, and that you can grow as an investor to own multiple properties.
Yeah, multiple properties, 5% down on each successive property. So you're keeping a lot of your cash in your own bank account, and yet you're acquiring property after property after property.
Yeah.
So that's the move up program.
Yeah. So this one here, the mortgage payment back at 25 years at today's fixed rate at $1,296, 89 in taxes, 50 for insurance, 150 on maintenance. And what we would like you to do with this property, if I was to buy it once you see the pictures, just go in and do the update straight away, make it look really good. So there is no maintenance. If you get new appliances, there is no maintenance to that. You know what I mean? So you do your upgrades, so there's no maintenance going forward. Vacancies at $92, condo fee at $286. That's a total of just under $2,000. And this one we set at $2,200 for rent. If it was updated like we're going to show you, it would rent for $2,400. This one cash flows $237, $425 mortgage pay down, and then $846 appreciation. This one's actually returning 31% at $18,096. This is a great investment. I mean, all three of them are. It depends what price point you want to get into. If I was starting off, I would lean towards this one and the last one. And if your portfolio can handle it, or cash flow isn't a problem, a newer product could be better. There's all sorts of townhouses. We've bought them in Tuscany, in what's across there, Royal Oak. We bought lots of, and we bought a lot up there just because the hospital's down the road, the university's down the road. They can hop on the C train, go down there. Crowchild's there, the ring road's there. You're easy access out to the mountains. There is a community called Rocky Ridge. You might know it when you come in on Crowchild. We love those townhouses up on the hill. The only problem with that complex up there is that there's too many. So when the market dips and there's for rent signs, your property might not stand out in that pile of townhouses. So we always look at areas that are kind of unique. If they're close to shopping, people can walk there. I know up in Tim and Royal Oak, we bought in Royal Birch and Royal Mews. I mean, across the road is a Walmart. There's like all this shopping, Starbucks, and there's facilities around there. There's a new rec center up there and stuff like that. So you want to be close to where people really want to be. And that goes with any investment really. But these types of townhomes, as Tim was saying, there's amenities all around them. It doesn't matter if you're down south in Haysboro, Acadia, even further in Deer Run, Tim, even that shopping is going there. So you know what? They're all over the place and you can easily find them and they will work all day. And Tim, some of these complexes aren't huge. They're small.
Yeah, you'll have like 40 or 50 units and that's it. A similar type of unit that we didn't showcase here, but that you can get at a similar price range is if it's as high as you can go and you want something newer product, there's stacked townhouses. Now, what are stacked townhouses? Generally, they look like the earlier townhouses that we saw, but on the ground floor, there'll be a bungalow unit. So it'll be about 1,000 square feet. And then above that is a 2-story unit. So the whole thing will be 3 stories high. The top 2 stories are 1 unit and the bottom unit is a bungalow unit. And that's why it's called a stacked townhouse. They're at about the same price point in Mackenzie Town, Mackenzie Lake, things like that. So, they're not as old as this. They might be 20, 25 years old, but that bungalow unit on the ground floor, they're at a similar price point around 300,000. If that's as high as you can go and you want newer product, you may have to start off with a townhouse like that.
Mackenzie Town has a stacked townhouse. And so, at the end of the day, even we were selling a lot in Coach Hill. Coach Hill has stacked townhouses, and that's a more affordable product on the west side. And guess what? Those rents for townhouses in Coach Hill are upwards of $2,700 per month, not $2,200 or $2,400, just because on the west side they're limited with townhouses. There isn't a lot. So you can find different product in different areas. And they're appreciating, as we said, at 17.5% this year. And we see that continuing, which we're going to get into. But before we get there, there's another question, Tim.
Yeah, picking on existing or investing in new builds, sixplex with suite basements, any investor groups doing that locally?
Yeah, so we're exploring that option right now with builders right now. We're actually going through that phase as we speak. And you know what, we're working out that it's costing $450 per unit. That would be 1 townhouse with a basement suite on average. So it is working out cheaper to build your own from the numbers we're running. We've got some of our investors that we're putting them through the whole process right now. The going rents on something like that, the basement suite would rent out for $1,500 and the upstairs with a parking space or a garage is $2,500. And that is a brand new product in a city. It has to be in a city to get those rents. We need to stress that. Our investors built some on Bow Trail, just up in Shaganappi up here, and they're generating $4,000 per month. So the numbers do work on a new build, but you need a lot of capital. So,
and you need to choose the right lot. We were looking at a lot today on the MLS. Someone was advertising it as, ideal to put the sixplex on with 6 basement suites. But the lot may be on a corner, which is ideal, because then you've got the side street and the main street. You can have all the front entrances on the main street. But the issue with this lot is there were power lines along the front of the house. So you had 2 power poles, and then on the corner you had a traffic light. So that's 3 poles on the lot. And then there was an electrical box, which I assume was to run the traffic lights at the intersection. That's way too much stuff that is supposed to be in your front doors that the city will not give approval to a lot like that. It's just not going to happen, but it was being marketed as the perfect lot to put that 6-plex on. You really need to do your homework to make sure that you get the right lot. Because if you're putting that many units on a 50 by 120 foot lot, it better be the right lot, because you're going to shell out anywhere from 550 to 850 on that lot with an existing house on it that you're just going to have to tear down. And like as I said, it's very capital intensive, because you need to buy that lot either outright or have a builder that won't mind building on a lot that has a big mortgage on it.
Yeah.
And then you also have to have some funds when you have the construction draw loan to build the place.
Yeah, well, but we actually put our investors through the whole process. We can get in touch about that. You would definitely be able to do that with the equity you made on the last property we bought you. You made a lot of money off that one. There's a lot of equity in that property. So what you would do is you would take the equity out of that property and then start the process of buying a good parcel of land. That is the first step. You're normally putting 20% down, 100% you are. 20% down is a minimum. And then from there, you would have to run the numbers on your carrying costs. The whole process out is about 2 years from buying the lot, doing your plans, and then building. It's roughly under 2 years, but we would say 2 years. And then you would be holding on to whatever mortgage you have with that property if you weren't to pay it off. So you'd have to run that. Then you would have a builder's construction loan on top of that as the build goes. So there's 3 or 4 different draws. When they pour the foundation, that's when you'd be the first bill. When they're at the stick of the framing, that's the next bill. When they close it up, that's the next bill, and then completion. So you would have 4 draws on that. We did a whole seminar about 2 weeks or a month ago on that. You can go on our Crew TV with Shane Melanson. He's our guy that we build with. And go through some of those details. But you could definitely do it with the assets that you own, and we could walk you through that. Okay, so getting back to townhouses, Tim, we'll just go through what we would do with this unit. If you go to
before that, again, the 3.5% appreciation, it's only 10 grand in 1 year. We can definitely tell you that these places are going to appreciate more than 3.5% for the next 2, 3, 4 years. They will top out at a certain point because they are only a certain size, but you're going to see good appreciation on these, even though your entrance price is only $290. So it's a very solid investment.
Yeah.
And this is what they look like inside. As Ed said, you can do a little updating. New appliances. You can paint that ceiling white if you want. A lot of people like the wood look.
Yeah. You could put vinyl plank in there if you wanted. You could change this up. I wouldn't change the cabinets. I would spray them, put different pulls on them, go with stainless steel. You could change out the countertop. I mean, whatever you do, you're going to bump up that return 100%. This is a nice open space here. We'll go to the next slide. And then basically downstairs, you could just keep with carpet. We're not showing
so
I wouldn't even do anything of that. I would paint the ceiling personally. Some people like that, but that's all I would do with this. I would keep.
Yeah, and this has the little deck out front. It's got a fireplace. You can see where the homeowner put their TV. So it's a nice living area, right? Tenants would love it, and it's ground level. They can just walk outside anytime they want. They'll be parking close to it. If you look at the back of it, it's got a very large deck. In these complexes, you have most of them. You have the option of putting a fence around the little backyard. So you see they have a shed back there. If you put a little fence with a gate, you have your own little area out there. Most of these complexes allow that. You have to pay for it. And all you need to do is get approval from the condo board. So we see that a lot. Very attractive to tenants. All the qualities that we mentioned before, these places have, but they're very, very inexpensive to get into.
Yeah, and we just see the prices continuing because it's where first-time home buyers, Tim, we've ran the numbers in other cities. The starting point for first-time home buyers, that just continues to grow because that's where a lot of the buyers are at and that's all they can afford. So the market will continue. And one thing to point out is those huge windows in the bedrooms downstairs. It makes the downstairs that more appealing because it's bringing in so much light and you don't feel like you're in a basement down there. So they are appealing. And for first-time home buyers, we would be looking at this no problem at all.
Yeah, as I was talking about other cities, we picked up these stats today as well. If you look at the difference of an average price of a townhouse in Calgary compared to the two bigger centers in Canada, $990 for Vancouver, $914 for Toronto. We are roughly half the price of what they are in those two cities. Are we ever going to get there? Probably, but it'll take a very, very long time. But what we do anticipate is that average price, getting up to $550 to $650 within the next 3 to 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, there's only one way, but up with these townhouses. And if you're thinking of investing, we really want to put this out there because we know the returns are there. We know that tenants want to rent these properties. We know to make them more appealing, it doesn't cost a lot of money. So it just makes it that much easier. And Tim, as you're pointing out all those qualities before, it's not like a house where you have to worry about eavesdrops or the roof or the exterior or even windows. Most of these things are covered by your condo board and your condo fee. So you're just repairing the inside. These are townhouses that Tim and I were involved in Bankview. It's called the Uptown 6 development. We sold out this whole development back in 2013 or 14, something like that. And we can see that moving forward, the townhouse market will be a great investment in Calgary.
Yeah, so it's booming right now, and we don't think the boom in townhouses is going to slow down anytime soon in Calgary. We've shown that there are hidden gems out there at very, very low prices that will rent out for the same as a 2-bedroom condo or a larger, even a main floor. So people have their own space. It's not a main floor or a basement suite. It's not a downtown condo at the same rental rate. So it's great for new investors. It's great for experienced investors. Townhouses, we feel, are a really, really good investment, and they're in the affordable sweet spot. We've talked about that all the time. We used to talk about single family homes when we first started this, putting people in landlords in a single family home, and they could cash flow with the rent that they got off of that. Well, the average price point for a single family home just went through the roof. We rarely buy them for investors anymore. Executive rentals, maybe. Then we went to suite properties. So you had two revenue sources. You had the main floor and the basement. That's quite a bit more rent, but we're seeing the price of those suite properties, whether it's a single family home or a half duplex, they're going through the roof. You need to be within that sweet spot where your revenue, your rent covers your expenses a little bit more than break-even point, so you do have that cash flow. Yeah,
townhomes, Timmy, right, are the new sweet spot, and you know what? They're all over the city, and you have a wide range of choice out there, depending on your price point, as we've shown tonight. This is one guy who just bought a townhouse down in Walden, and he's loving it. We bought this townhouse. There is a video. He's on the front of the video. You can watch it. And we bought that townhouse just because across the road, it had all of the amenities one could want, right? It's got all the shopping. You could walk to A&W if you really wanted to, or Starbucks. And one thing about that complex, it had a side entrance, so he didn't have to walk around his complex to get out to the main street. He had access through the complex to get out to the shopping, so he can go back and forth. Yeah, so that's what we have for townhouses this week. Thanks for sticking with us on the different day than what we're used to. Yeah, I'll go through this really fast for the new people out there. If you haven't read our book, 1 Million Reasons to Buy Real Estate, it's for free. Thank you for joining us tonight. Please go to work, tell your friends about us, download this. I'll put it in the chat where to find it. But it's a great read. It goes through the core fundamentals of investing in real estate. If anyone else does have any questions, put it in the chat now, and download this from our website, which will come up now. Yeah, and we wrote it to put the fundamentals of real estate investing
in a quick read format so that new investors can go through it really quickly. Experienced investors can go through it, and it sort of refreshes them on why they got into the real estate investment business in the first place. The next thing we have
is Fearless Real Estate. We wrote this book during COVID. We weren't selling houses during COVID for a period of time. We said, let's write a book. The best thing about this book, it really goes through what our investors have done, what Tim and I have done with investing over the years. And it doesn't just talk about all of the positives, it talks about the negatives. So you can learn from our mistakes over the years. And what we love about it, it actually showcases different scenarios. We've got one girl, I'll just tell you, and I was thinking about it for the new people out there, Brittany, who came to us to invest in real estate. There's a story about Brittany in this book where she bought a place in Mayland Heights. So this is all local knowledge. She was renting downtown. She got her parents to co-sign, and she actually moved into the property upstairs. She rented out 2 bedrooms for $500 each. She rented out the basement back then for $800, and she rented out the garage for $200, and she was living for free. So here's a young girl that we helped. And that's just one story. We've got stories on people doing Airbnb, on rent to own. We've got people that have bought semi-detached or put in legal basement suites. Flippers. So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and it's real. Okay, so that's
it's actual client stories. Our clients have gone through all of these different strategies, and we're telling their stories. So we're showcasing their successes. You don't just have to believe what we say. You can actually see what they've done. And if you want to do whatever strategy they're doing, just reach out to us, because they're having success and you can have success too.
Yeah, Jesse's just saying another one on single family BRRRRs. The BRRRR strategies: buy, renovate, refinance, rent out, and repeat. That's the BRRRR for anyone who wants to know, with basement suites. We'd be more than happy to do that.
We do the BRRRR seminar once a year.
Yeah.
So we don't know when it's scheduled, but we will be doing it.
Yeah, so look out for that. Next thing is what we really wanted to provide our clients is something that they belong to. Now, you don't have to do this, and most property owners that are doing it, they get the property services side, Tim, where we help save them thousands of dollars from their property management companies out there. So the best thing about this, it comes with over 100 hours of education that people get to learn from, and that they can stop paying those high property management fees out there. It also comes with a lot of other bonuses, like our joint venture agreements. We help people do joint ventures. It's one of the ways Tim and I bought multiple properties together or with other people over the years, is by buying with in a joint venture, so you can keep buying and buying and buying.
Yeah, and it's got all the extras that you'd expect: the forms, the guides, the checklists, leases, move in, move out checklists, everything you'd need to successfully run your real estate investment business. It's all in here, all in one package. Like as I said, you don't have to do it, but it's a resource that a lot of our investors are using to help them move their business forward.
Yeah.
This is the property services part that, as I was talking about, we just went over that. The next thing we're going to showcase is our Calgary Real Estate Wealth YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We call it Crew TV.
Yeah, it's free. Once again, it's on YouTube. You can find it. You just put in Calgary Real Estate Wealth on YouTube. And we actually interview our clients over the years, so you can see what they're buying. There's success stories, there's renovation stories, there's tips of the month. We do that, or tips of the week, sorry. We do a tip every week. And then it's got our investment updates, so you can keep on top of the latest strategies. And that's what you have to understand. Like a lot of American companies out there, Tim, they'll sell you on some strategies like wholesaling or other strategies that maybe don't work in particular markets right now. So we actually keep you up to date on what is working, what our clients are doing, what we're doing, so you can keep on top of the real estate.
Yeah, and again, it showcases their success. We're interviewing these clients, and they're telling you how they've had success doing whatever strategy they're doing. So it's in their words. Yeah, some of it's in our words, but get on that channel. It's a great resource as well. We also share a lot of strategies that we do in our seminars here. They're out there for free, so it's a great resource for you as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for us right now. What we want to do is provide value to you people out there. We want to help you. We want to help you get ahead in your real estate investment career. That's what we're here for. If you want to be involved with us to move your real estate investment business forward, reach out to us. The best way to do it is via email, but if you want to call us or text or whatever, reach out to us. We'll have set up an initial meeting with you, find out where you are, where you want to go, what your goals are, and then get you started investing in real estate.
Yeah. It was great to see some investors that we've bought properties for recently or over the years on tonight's call. So we will be hosting another seminar in 2 weeks. Sorry, this one got delayed by 2 days. I was kind of stranded out there, but we're back at it now. No more holidays for me for a while, I can promise you that. So we should be back on schedule. Here are our details. Reach out to us, put us on an email. That's the best way. And we'd be happy to meet with you. No charge at all, just to give you some advice on what we think you should do and how to make a success in investing in real estate.
Yeah, that's what we want the most out of this Calgary Real Estate Wealth is we want to see you succeed in real estate investing. So thanks again for joining us. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.